Hi friends, how are you all? Today I am going to talk about the various Dhana Yogas or the yogas for gaining wealth in life. How can you determine whether you have Dhana Yogas or combinations, such combinations that form Dhana Yogas in your chart? So we'll discuss all of that today. Friends, do subscribe to my channel and share this video, and if you want consultation, my number is there in the video description, and links to astrological books are also there in the description. And friends, if you want to become a member of this channel, you can become. The link is also there in the description. Alright, so friends, let us go to the topic, Dhana Yogas. What do you mean by Dhan or Dhana Yoga? Okay, so Dhana Yogas are astrological yogas or combinations, planetary combinations in your birth chart for wealth and prosperity. These yogas prove more fruitful and beneficial if both the Lagna and its Lord are strong and well placed. The Lagna, that is the first house or the ascendant, and the ascendant Lord, they should not be afflicted in the chart. So that is the condition. If the Lagna Lord is more or less strong, and if the Lagna is also not afflicted, then definitely these Dhana Yogas will give you a lot of wealth and prosperity in life. Friends, Jupiter is one of the natural significators of wealth. It is called the Dhana Karaka. So, a strong Jupiter can give you financial stability and prosperity throughout your life. Alright, friends. Now, what are the indicators of wealth in your chart? So, we have to actually look at the second house or second bhava from the Lagna or birth ascendant, and also the 11th house. These two houses, first of all, you need to look at. They are very important. The second house is the house of accumulated wealth, while the 11th house is connected with your income. You know, your income or earning of wealth, that is 11th house, and second house is accumulated wealth. These two houses are very important. They must be somehow connected with each other, or if any of these houses is connected to the 5th and the 9th houses, then also Dhana Yogas can be formed, because the 5th and the 9th houses, they are also regarded as the abodes of Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth. That is why the 5th and the 9th houses, they are the Dharma Trikon houses. They are also very auspicious. So they also somehow should be connected, either of them. If they are connected to the 2nd or 11th house, then also Dhana Yoga can be formed. Alright. Now friends, how these various Dhana Yogas will be formed? Now, say if the second Lord is in the 11th house and the 11th Lord in the 2nd house, then it is a Dhana Yoga, or it is a combination for wealth, or it is a yoga for getting wealth in life. Alright. Then if the 11th Lord or 2nd Lord, if they are connected to the 5th Lord or 5th house, or if any of them is connected to the 9th Lord or 9th house, then also definitely the native can gain wealth. By the way, if the lords of the first house, 2nd house, 5th house, 9th house and 11th houses, if they have some connection, and if these lords are planets which are natural benefics, then the native can acquire greater wealth. If this yogas, if the Dhan Yoga is being formed by planets which are natural benefics like Jupiter, Mercury, Venus, then the Dhan Yoga becomes even more effective. Alright, now friends, how the various Dhan Yogas can be formed. Say, when the Lord of the Lagna or the Ascendant Lord and the Lord of the second house, yes, they are together in some conjunction or combination. The Lord of the Lagna or the Ascendant Lord and the Lord of the second house, if they are together in some combination, and if they are associated with the Lord of the fifth house, or the Lord of the ninth house, or the Lord of the 11th house, then it is said to be a Dhana Yoga, or a combination for acquiring wealth in life. Alright, then the next situation can be like this. When the Lord of the second house is associated with the Lord of the fifth house, or the second Lord is associated with the ninth house, or the second Lord if it is associated with the 11th house, then also the Dhan Yoga can be formed. Next condition is when the Lord of the fifth house is associated with the Lord of the ninth house, or the 11th house, the Lord of the 11th house, then also it is a sort of Dhana Yoga. Then the next condition is when the Lord of the ninth house is associated with the Lord of the 11th house, then also a sort of Dhan Yoga will be formed in the chart. Now friends, let me go to some other combinations also, which will show whether you have Dhan Yoga in the chart. Now for Dhan Yogas to be formed, definitely we have to look at the 2nd and the 11th house, but the 5th and the 9th houses, they are also given a lot of importance in formation of Dhan Yogas. Now friends, say I'll give you some more conditions. If they are fulfilled, then Dhan Yogas can be formed. Say if moon, the planet moon in astrology, if it is in the 5th house, in its own sign, if moon is in the 5th house, and if Saturn is in the 11th, I repeat, when moon is in the 5th house in its own sign and Saturn is in the 11th, then it is the formation of a sort of Dhan Yoga. Then friends, if Jupiter is in the 5th house in its own sign and Mercury is situated in the 11th house, then also a sort of Dhan Yoga is formed. The next condition or next type of Dhan Yoga could be like Mars is in the 5th house in its own sign and Venus is in the 11th house. Then also it will be regarded as a formation of Dhan Yoga. Next, if Saturn is in the 5th house in its own sign and Sun and Moon are, together in the 11th house, then also a sort of Dhan Yoga is formed. Then friends, next, if Mercury is in the 5th house in its own sign and Moon, Mars and Jupiter are in the 11th house, that is also a formation of Dhan Yoga. Next, if Sun is in the 5th house in its own sign, that is in Leo, and Moon, Jupiter and Saturn are in the 11th, then also a Dhan Yoga is formed. And the next one is when Venus is in the 5th house in its own sign. Venus should be in its own sign in the 5th house and Mars should be in the Lagna or in the 1st house. Then also Dhan Yoga can be formed. Alright. Now friends, so then one more thing we have to remember, that the Lagna and the Lord of the Lagna, that is the ascendant and the ascendant Lord, they also contribute to the formation of Dhana Yoga or combinations for wealth. So how they contribute, we will discuss now. Now friends, say if Saturn is in its own sign in the first house, and somehow if it is associated with Mars and Jupiter, that is some kind of aspect Saturn has on Mars and Jupiter, or Mars and Jupiter are aspecting Saturn. So some combination if they have, or conjunction. So Saturn in own sign in the Lagna or the first house, and if Saturn is associated with Mars and Jupiter, then a Dhan Yoga is formed. Next, if Jupiter is in its own sign in the first house, and if it is associated with Mars and Mercury, then also a sort of Dhan Yoga is formed. Next, if Venus is in Taurus or Libra in the first house, and it is associated with Mercury and Saturn, then also a combination for acquiring wealth in life or Dhan Yoga is formed. Then next, if Mercury is in its own sign in the Lagna or in the first house, and if it is associated with Jupiter and Saturn, then also Dhan Yoga is formed. Next, if Mars is in its own sign in the first house, and if Mars is associated with Mercury, Venus and Saturn, then also a sort of Dhan Yoga is formed. Next, if Moon is in Cancer in the first house, and if it is associated with Mercury and Jupiter, then also an auspicious Dhan Yoga is formed. If Sun is in Leo in its own sign in the first house, and if it is associated with Mars and Jupiter, then also a very auspicious Dhan Yoga is formed. So friends, these are various combinations of planets which give rise to Dhan Yoga in your chart. Dhan Yogas are combinations for acquiring wealth in life. Okay, such planetary combinations in the chart, in the birth chart, are called Dhan Yogas. Alright, if there is a Rashi Parivartan, that is sign exchange, between the Lord of the Lagna and the Lord of the second house, that is called the Dhan Bhava. I repeat, if there is a Rashi Parivartan or sign exchange between the ascendant Lord and the second Lord, then also a Dhan Yoga is formed. And friends, we are looking at the second house, the 11th house and 5th and 9th, all these houses from the ascendant. You can also look at the second house, the 5th house, the 9th house, 11th house from the moon also. From the moon also, because moon is a very important planet in Vedic astrology. So second house from the moon, that also will be very important. And 5th from the moon, 9th from the moon, 11th from the moon, they will also be very, very important. And friends, you should also look at the Indu Lagna. The Indu Lagna is also important for acquiring wealth. So which zodiac sign is your Indu Lagna, and where is that Indu Lagna? Which house will be referred to your Indu Lagna? You have to find out. That is, your Indu Lagna will definitely be ruled by a certain zodiac sign, and it will fall in a particular house in your chart. So find out your Indu Lagna, and there definitely some zodiac sign will be there. So the Lord of that Indu Lagna also will be responsible for giving you wealth in life. Yes, so friends, who is the Lord of the Indu Lagna? And if that Lord of the Indu Lagna, or if the Indu Lagna itself is aspected by benefic planets, by planets which are natural benefics, then also the native can acquire wealth in life. Alright, especially if the Hindu Lagna is aspected by Jupiter or Venus, then also the native can acquire wealth in life. Alright. Now friends, there are also certain specific, or you can say particular cases of Dhana Yogas. Say if Sun is in a Kendra house, and if the planet Sun in astrology, if it falls in a friendly Navamsha, that is in the Navamsha chart or D9 chart, if Sun is in a friendly sign and Sun is in a Kendra in the Lagna chart or D1 chart, and if it is aspected by Moon and Jupiter, then that makes one rich and learned in life. One becomes rich and prosperous in life. Alright. And again, if Rahu, Venus, Mars and Saturn, if they are in Virgo together, that also gives native a lot of wealth. Also, if Rahu, Mars and Venus, if they are also together in Virgo, that also gives a lot of wealth to the native. Another condition is if Jupiter, Mercury and Saturn, they occupy their own signs in the birth chart, then that also makes a native, gain a lot of wealth in life, and that also blesses the native with long life. The next combination is the Lord of the first house in the second house, the Lord of the second in the 11th house, and the Lord of the 11th in the first house. If that also is happening, then also the native can gain a lot of wealth. And again, if the Lord of the 11th house is in the second house, the Lord of the second is in the first, and the Lord of the first is in the 11th, that also gives a native a lot of wealth. And another condition is if the Lord of the second and the Lord of the 10th house, if they are in conjunction in a Kendra, and if they are aspected by the Lord, or you can say if they are aspected by the dispositor of the ascendant Lord in the Navamsha, that also makes a native rich. I repeat, the second Lord and the 10th Lord, if they are forming a sort of conjunction in a Kendra house, and if they are aspected by the dispositor of the Lagna Lord or ascendant Lord in the Navamsha, you have to look at the dispositor of the dispositor of the ascendant Lord in the Navamsha. If that planet is aspecting the second Lord and 10th Lord in the D1 chart, that is also a combination for acquiring wealth in life or a Dhana Yoga. So friends, these are various combinations. Now, then also there are certain combinations which can enable a native to lose wealth in life. That is, if the Lord of the second house, if it is situated in the 6th, 8th or 12th house, then the native may encounter loss of wealth. I repeat, if the Lord of the second house is situated in any of the malefic houses, that is in the 6th, 8th or 12th, the native can encounter loss of wealth in life. So there is a remedy for that. That is, the native should use the energy of the 6th house. 6th house has so many significations. One important signification of 6th house is, selfless service for the unprivileged. And if the native is using the energy of the 6th house in some positive way, then the native will get some relief. And if the second Lord is situated in the 8th house, then use the energy of the 8th house in some positive way. 8th house is meditation, 8th house is research. Yes, use the energy of the 8th house. 8th house is occult knowledge, technology. Use the 8th house in some positive way. And if the second lord is situated in the 12th house, 12th house is also meditation and yoga, 12th house is also spirituality, 12th house is foreign land. Use the energy of the 12th house in some positive way in your life. Then if the second lord is in the 12th house, you may get some relief. Otherwise the native will have to encounter a lot of wealth loss in life. That is one important thing. And the second lord, it should occupy either, it should be either in its own house, that is the second lord should be in its own sign, or it should be in a kendra, the second lord. Then a native becomes wealthy in life. Either the second lord should be in its own sign or the second lord should be in the kendra. If that condition is fulfilled, then the native will generally becomes wealthy in life. If the second lord or second house is otherwise not afflicted, then. Alright. Then friends, so all these combinations, they are very important. If, the lord of the second house, if it is in its own sign or sign of exaltation, and if it is aspected by Jupiter, then also the native can become famous, wealthy, popular in life. If Jupiter is with Mars in the second house, that also can give the native a lot of wealth in life. Yes, so if this, and also if the second lord and the 11th lord, they are occupying each other's houses, or if they are in conjunction in a Kendra house or in a Trikona house, either in a Kendra house or in a Dharm Trikona house, if the second lord and the 11th lord are placed in conjunction, then also the native can become wealthy in life. Yes, and also friends, if the second lord is in a Kendra house, if it is aspected by Jupiter or Venus, the native can become wealthy in life. And if the lord of the 11th house is also situated in a Trikona Bhava, the lord of the 11th house is situated in a Dharm Trikona Bhava, then also the native becomes rich in life. Alright. Dharm Trikonas are actually houses 1, 5, 9 and Kendra houses are 1, 4, 7, 10. So the first house is a Dharm Trikona house and it is also a Kendra house. Alright. So friends, you have looked at the various combinations. Yes. So that is especially if the second lord and the 11th lord, they are connected to the 5th and the 9th, then that also indicates a lot of wealth in life, indicates gain of wealth in life, and especially if the yogas are formed by natural benefic planets, then the promise of greater wealth is there. Alright. Now friends, what else you can say? If the Lagna Lord or the Ascendant Lord and the Lord of the second house, they combine with a benefic planet. If the Lagna Lord, that is if the Ascendant Lord and the second Lord, if they combine with a benefic planet, and if their dispositor is strong and if it occupies the Lagna or the first house, their dispositor, then also the native becomes wealthy in life. Alright. And if the lords of the first house and second house, if they are involved in mutual exchange of signs, one acquires wealth effortlessly in life. That is also one very important condition for acquiring wealth in life. That is mutual exchange between the first lord and the second lord in your chart. Alright. So friends, So we have almost covered all the important Dhana Yogas. Then one more condition may be there, that is, if the Lord of the Lagna or the ascendant Lord is situated in the first house itself. Okay, that also, the Lord of the Lagna or the ascendant Lord is in the first house itself and it is not afflicted, it is strong. That is also an indication of the fact that the native will acquire wealth in life. And one more condition is if the moon is with Mars, if moon conjoins with Mars in the chart, and that also can give a native steady wealth in life. If moon conjoins with Mars, that can give native wealth in life, provided the conjunction is taking place in a Kendra house or in a Dharma Trikona house, then the promise of wealth will be greater, or it can take place in the 11th house or 2nd house. Alright. If there are malefic planets or cruel planets in the 2nd house, then a native may have to encounter poverty in life, because 2nd house is called the Dhana Bhava, the house of wealth or accumulated wealth. If there are malefics or cruel planets, the native may have to face poverty in life. So for that, the native should do the remedies for those malefic planet or planets. If there is any malefic planet in the 2nd house or aspect is there on the 2nd house of a malefic planet, please do the remedy for that malefic planet to get some relief. Alright. The best remedy is do the Bij mantra for that planet, and you will definitely get some relief. And also, friends, if the second Lord, is there in the Kendra, or it is there in the Dharma Trikona. Yes, the 2nd Lord, if it is there in the Kendra or in the Dharma Trikona, then definitely it will be good for the native. And if the 2nd Lord is an auspicious planet or a natural benefic, or in the 2nd house, if you have 2nd Lord, it could be any planet, but in the 2nd house, if you have auspicious planets, in the 2nd house, if you have auspicious planets, then it can give you a lot of wealth and prosperity in life. The 2nd Lord could be any planet, but yes, if it is a natural benefic, then the Dhana Yoga becomes strong in the chart. So friends, these are various combinations for acquiring wealth in life. So the summary is that you need to look at the 2nd house, which is the house of accumulated wealth. Look at the 11th house, the house of income, and 5th house and 9th houses, they are the Dharma Trikona houses. They are also regarded as the abodes of the goddess of wealth, that is Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth. So that is why the 2nd house, if it is connected with the 11th house or 5th or 9th house, then definitely you will acquire wealth in life. Or if the 2nd and the 11th houses, they are having some sort of connection with the 5th or the 9th house, then also the native can acquire wealth in life. So look at, this is the most important point that you have to remember. And other specific combinations of Dhana Yogas, that also I have already discussed in the course of the discussion in the video. So friends, hope you found today's session useful. Please go to your birth chart and please find out whether you have any of these Dhana Yogas in your chart. Yes friends, if the 2nd Lord is in any of the so-called malefic houses, that is 6, 8 or 12, then friends, you need to believe in some service, selfless service, some charity. Then you need to also do some meditation, and please believe in charity. Then definitely you will see that you will get relief and you will not encounter problems of money in life, and you will overcome all obstacles. So you don't have to worry. You just need to do this remedy. You need to believe in charity and you will get relief if the second lord is in any of the so-called malefic houses. So that's all for today, friends. See you next time with another video. Till then, take care.